everyone, so we're going to be going over how to set up Firebase and just setting up our project to log in, log out, and just create users. So let's get started here. I'm just going to create a brand new project on my desktop. Now that we got our application started, we're going to start setting up Firebase first. So what we want to do is we want to actually go to Firebase. So just Google Firebase and you should see it in one of the top two links. So once you get here, just click on Get Started. And make sure you are logged into your Gmail account so you could create projects. So all you have to do is click on Add Project if you don't already have one. And then once you just give it a unique name, just click Continue. For Google Analytics, you won't need it because then you'll need to do additional configuration. So we'll turn it off, create project, and just wait a few minutes here until it's done. And once it's done, all you have to do is click Continue. And you should get to this page here where your project is set up. And you can see here that there is a place where you can either configure it with Apple, Android, or the web. So we're going to configure it for the web here. So let's click on web. And we'll give it a new name. So app, Firebase, anything you like. You don't need to click on this, no need to. So just register the app once you give it a nickname. Now there's a few things that we need to do and add to our project. You can see here we have to install Firebase, and then we need to add all this like key information about our project. So let's first install Firebase. So copy this, and we'll go back over here in our terminal, new terminal. So here in our package.json, we don't have any Firebase yet. So what we're going to do is install Firebase into our project. Once it's done, you should see here in our dependencies that we get Firebase added. So this is how you know that Firebase has been installed. And what we're going to do is we want to create a brand new folder, and we're going to call this Firebase. And we're going to just save all our information in a brand new file. So we need to call it, let's right click, new file, and we'll call it firebase.config.js. And in here, what we're going to do is, with the other information that was given to us, we have to copy all of this other stuff. So let's copy it. And we're just going to paste it inside our firebase.config.js. I'm just going to get rid of all the comments so it is less cluttered. So this is what it should look like right now. And in order to actually get our application to use this information, we actually need to export all of this information as well. So let's first set it up. So import get auth from firebase-auth. And we're going to export it here. And this is just essentially something that we're going to be using where we're going to import on the pages that actually need this Firebase configuration. So it's taking all of these unique keys that are given to us in order to access our Firebase application online to store the information or change it. And what we're going to do is it's looking at that Firebase configuration, and then we're taking that app and we are just exporting it here so it could be used on other pages. And we're just making sure that we're able to get the authentication from Firebase as well. Now that we've got this set up, all we have to do is, let's go back to the documentation here. We'll just click continue with console. So if you want to go back to that information, if you need it again, just click on this one app here and settings. And then when you scroll down here, you can see all that same information right here. You can always grab it again if you need to. So let's go back to the actual project. So here, if we click on build authentication, we can click on get started. And here it can tell you what different areas you can authenticate in. So here we got like email, password, Google, Facebook, and all these other areas. So we can configure whatever we like, but in order to actually make it work, we have to click on them and we have to enable them. So let's click on Google here and let's enable this. And you just have to pick whatever email that you want. That it has to be a real email, and just save it. And I'm also going to add another one. and I'll just add email and password. Just enable the top part here. It's just easier for configuration. Then click save. And now we got the two different things I'm going to share an example in, Google and email and password. So if you actually want to know more about like the different ways of like getting this authentication, you can click at the top right here. It says go to docs. Click on this and you get this new pop-up here with all the documentation on Firebase. So if we click on Google Popup, enter, then let's see here. So authenticate using Google with JavaScript at the top. Let's see this one. All right, so we got this. We got this at the top here. So what we can actually do is we can actually import all of this information. We already got the get auth in our other folder, but we can just grab this for now and just do a few modifications. So if you want to read more about how to like do different things, you have to read through this entire documentation. There's different ways of organizing it, but let's copy this line right here and go back to our code. And we're going to go to pages, index, and I'm just going to actually just leave just a really simple div, just so it's not so cluttered here. And got rid of the styles. So I'm just going to have this home template just look like this at the moment. And I'll just import this. And this one, we already got the get auth from our other page, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm actually going to just do something else. I will be importing auth from our actual project folder and file. So now that we've gone both of those, all we need to really do is we need to set up the actual Google sign-in. So let's actually set this up here first. What we need to do is we need to set up the Google sign-in function. And it's going to be asynchronous because we're waiting for some sort of response before we actually do something. And we're grabbing the Google Auth provider. We're just making a brand new one because we want to, based on the new user that's signed in, we want to generate or grab that information about that new user. And we're just grabbing the authorization, like the key codes and everything, using auth that has been imported to us. So then we can use it with the sign-in pop-up. So we're grabbing that authorization and that provider, which is the Google Auth provider. So we can work with those keys that we have, and it will connect with the Firebase that we have just created for this application. And so we can log in using the user's Google email or Gmail account. And we can also console.log the results. And before we move any further, we can just set up this button right here for the actual pop-up. So what we're doing here is we're just making sure that on the button click, we're going to initiate that function Google sign-in. And I'll say log in with Google. Save. And this is what the code should look like so far. We're just trying to test out the pop-up right now and make sure that this works first. So save it, and let's go back to our browser. And we're actually going to have to run this. So npm run dev. And we're going to go back here now to our browser, and we'll go to localhost 3000 because that's where the server started. And we should just see a button so we can click on it and do something with it. Okay, so your screen should look something just like this. It's just a blank white screen with that button. It says log in with Google. We're just going to click on it. And you should get this pop-up here. Remember, we have to enable this authentication in order to get this pop-up. If you don't do this in Firebase, if you don't authorize this, it will not show up. And what we want to do is just click on whichever email you want to sign in with. And once this is done, it's not going to do anything just yet because we haven't set up anything, but like let's inspect here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to console. So right here you should see some kind of user credential. If we click on it, we'll click on user, and you'll be able to see a bunch of information about your account. I'm not going to click around, but there's going to be a bunch of information here, and you'll be able to just grab whatever information you want about the actual user. Because remember, we console logged it out when we went over here into our Google sign-in function right here, and we console logged out the result once we have authenticated and logged into our account.